Hi everyone, my name is Victoria Taylor and today this is making my video for my Introduction to Film Studies class. Right now I'm going to be talking a little bit about some of the movies I watched and what they kind of mean to me. When I was trying to decide where I wanted to film this, I realized that one of the themes throughout everything we've learned about like Appalachian culture and Appalachian culture and all of those types of things it's kind of the at-hominess. So when I was doing it, I was like, I'm just going to do this right here in my living room because that's a place that I feel really cozy and very comfortable, and I think that's a really important theme in a lot of these movies we're watching and a lot of the things we're reading, so I'm going to do that. So yeah, let's just jump right into everything. So first question is about what movies I chose to watch and why we chose to watch them. So I picked Nell, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? And then the Appalachian Media Institute movie I picked to watch was one called Pickin and Screamin, which I thought was really fun. So basically, I chose them for all different reasons. First, with Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Basically, I didn't even read much about this one. I just decided to do it because it is a bit of a cult classic. A lot of people like it. I had one of those movies I had heard about and I've been wanting to watch for a long time, but just never got around to. Also, George Clooney. Can you really beat it? So that was why I picked that one, and it was really interesting seeing kind of some different themes and stuff throughout that aren't normally like what I typically go for. The next one was Nell. Once again, this was a movie that I had just heard amazing things about, some actors in it that I really liked and respected, so I wanted to look into that a little more, and I just liked what it seemed that the themes were around this movie, where it wasn't just about Appalachian culture or anything like that, that this was about all different types of, deeper things, spiritual things, sociological things, just different aspects. I was a sociology major for a while in college before I switched over to communication. So that, I have a lot of interest in human nature, and so I felt like I really wanted to explore this film for those reasons of just finding out more about this really interesting person and her life. So I really wanted to look into that, which was great. And then Pickin and Screamin, honestly, the one reason just because the thumbnail was super cool. They did a great job with just all the different filming throughout that, and it was about music. So that kind of brings me to, you might be wondering why I'm holding a guitar, but one of the really interesting themes that kind of ran throughout all of the, a lot of the different movies I've watched, specifically some of the different ones this week, was music and religion. I found to be these two very key sources throughout these films, and I just thought that was such an interesting trend. But the more I thought about it and really looked into it, it makes so much sense, because that's really a big part of what Appalachian culture is. It's kind of that enjoying life thing. I think a lot of times, I'm from outside of Philadelphia, up in the Northeast, and I think a lot of times life is just so go, 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 and wanting to be successful, and I feel like they have a lot more of a better understanding of like what it means to enjoy life and kind of go through things in a little bit more of an easy nature, which I really respect. So yeah, that's why I had the guitar. I'm going to put that down now. I'll move on to the next question, which was talking about the different hillbilly characters that we explored in all of the films. So first, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? I was really thinking about Delmar, the one character in that really represented the hillbilly as a fool. This was this to me just made total sense. Not that it's trying to say that I agree with all these different stereotypes, definitely something I do not. I have a lot of my family that's actually from Appalachia, so I've seen through them and from talking to them about life that a lot of times, like, no, just because that this is what somebody says doesn't mean that's how everyone is. Which I feel like is a lot of times what the hillbilly as a fool stereotype can do. But I really liked this character, and I just thought he was really funny and very quirky, but just showed a lot of that kind of, going through things religiously, just because the crowd was doing it, and he was all about that. And so yeah, definitely that kind of hillbilly as a fool one. And then Nell. Nell I thought a little bit differently about. It was definitely more of that backwoods hillbilly figure, but more than that, the hillbilly is free. That seems to be a very prominent theme that I found in a lot of the films, a lot of the reading, just that, the hillbilly as a person that is just kind of, they're off doing their own thing and they're not worried about the rest of the world, which is, I really thought, was a big theme in Nell. Obviously hers were for a lot of different kind of reasons, but yeah, just she, when they would show the scenes of her outside and dancing in the wind and then playing in the water, and just even scenes of her being totally nude and like not recognizing that, just that really that freedom that she seems. And the last one, Pickin and Screamin, it wasn't so much association to like any one specific character in that, but just as a link to the past. Seemed to be a lot of some of the older people in that movie, and just a lot of the different characters in that movie in general, that documentary I should say, that it was just this link to a different world, and a lot of that, their world is just very connected to the past. They're a little bit more connected, I think, than we are. The next question is, which overall picture of Appalachia do you find most compelling? I think this one is kind of a little bit of a complicated answer, because I think that it's very easy to be compelled by all different ideas about Appalachia and what it is and what it represents and what it means to be from there. But I would say that in this case, the documentary definitely did the best job, just because in the documentary it talks a lot about who these people are. It's real. I think that makes the biggest thing. They make it real. It's not just thinking about this person in kind of a distant way. It's actually happening. And I just think that's really amazing, that this whole thing is a lot about, where we are in all these different stages. They went through different groups of people. They went through, people who are into like a really scream, I think they said like noise punk genre of music. But then they also had like a very, bluegrass, soulful, that aspect of music too, which I just feel like showed a bigger range, a wider, kind of more of a diversified idea. And I feel like that's the best picture you can get of Appalachia. Any picture that shows how much variation there is in the communities down there and in the people that live there, and just the history, because there's so many people that have so many different backgrounds, and why they live there is for different reasons. So that's what I thought was the best idea of that. And then the next one is, what did I like best and why? Would I recommend watching it? And then critiquing maybe what wasn't quite my favorite. Nell was definitely my favorite out of them. Number one, Liam Neeson. Just kidding. But not really. Nell was just my favorite because like I said earlier, I just really liked that this one was a little bit deeper. It's about kind of these real issues about what are people actually like outside of the context of others, and what kind of things do we create. And I think it's just a lot about the necessity of things. Nell, when she even got the littlest bit of community, had a very fulfilled life, and a lot of times they kept talking about how they wanted to save her, but save her from what? And I just really liked exploring those questions, and so I really appreciated that part of Nell and kind of looking into those aspects of everything. Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? For that one, it was a narrative structure, storytelling, which I do like, but I didn't really feel a sense of flow at all. I felt like throughout the movie I was just very much like jumping from like one thing to another, and there were parts where I was like, wait, how did they get there? And so, I don't know, that wasn't exactly a favorite part of mine. And as far as character type goes, the kind of character that Everett, George Clooney plays, really isn't my type of character that I like to follow along with. He's almost that too handsome for his own good, very arrogant, and I just don't connect to that enough. And I think even though you're supposed to recognize those things about, I think you're supposed to be a little bit more endeared to him than I felt. And I think the last thing is that it's not exactly my general genre of film. It's kind of that old-timey crime film. And not there's anything wrong with that at all, but that's just not necessarily my favorite kind at all. So I think that was just kind of out there. Overall, it was a really good film, really interesting. Once again, with the music, I love the music throughout it and how that theme of Appalachia kind of flowed through it, and definitely with the religious aspects of it. And the same thing with Nell, of just really following that theme of, where your heart is at, and how the religion down there just plays a part in every part of their culture. But it just wasn't my cup of tea exactly. And the last question talks about, what I would choose as my favorite and what the important message is that you can take away from it. Once again, I think I've already stated this, but Nell was definitely it. And I think it's just that, we can be taught so much more from people that we don't expect to be. I think a lot of times people who come from who are older, come from different kinds of backgrounds, whatever it is, think that we can go in and teach something, but we end up being the one that really learns a lot. When I was younger, I went on a few missions trips, and one time it was to Nepal, and as soon as I got there, I was like, I don't think I have anything to offer these people, but they have shown me so much. And this is, in a developing nation, and I definitely feel like when people talk about Appalachia, a lot of times it's within that kind of mindset of like going in there to these like backwoods places. But I think there's a lot we and these other parts of the country can learn from Appalachia and from their culture about love and music and pleasure and family and and all those important things that a lot of times we lose sight of. So I really enjoyed the movies watched this week, of Brother Wartho and Nell and Pickin and Screamin. I liked seeing these important themes that were brought out as far as religion as well as music, and I just really liked the lessons all of them taught. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this video.